What's up, everybody? We're back here again with another architecture portfolio review. To get right into it, just make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we're going to get right into the video. Feel free to stick around to the end for a few closing comments. See you there. Alright, and to get into it, architecture portfolio, and I will say this is by one of my best friends, Ethan. Ethan, if you're watching, this is a lot of pages, and I'm going to go a little fast because, man, this is a lot of pages. Really great stuff. I looked through a bit of it before I started, but for the viewers, let's not wait any longer. Let's get right into it. Beautiful font, beautiful proportions. I like it, love it. Beautiful render. So, work experience. I do quite like this, especially if you're going to be submitting this to a firm, not necessarily to schools or masters or continuing education. So if you are watching this video for portfolio advice, one thing I would say is really only include this unless you're applying for jobs, stuff of the sort. There is a bit of a having your profile picture is kind of up to you whether you want to or not. I don't think it matters much whether you do or don't. Some people, no, don't do it. You can never do that. Never show your face. It's not that big a deal. If it means something to you, if you have a cool bomb photo like this, do it. If not, it is what it is. However, I do like the font usage here. Also, having software skills showing that you can use these professional skills too. I do quite like the showing the discrepancy between hard skills and soft skills. Very big thing. Design distinctions. Always show off and brag a little bit about yourself. If you're ever going to do it here. Obviously, work experience, academic background. Beautiful. So, personal summary is also a great thing to have here, just so they know a little bit about you. So getting in a table of contents, I love the profile pictures. I love how you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 table of contents, the proportions, the scale of everything, very well, very controlled. I love it. So getting into the first one, holding place, graduate studio. Having the awards here is also quite nice. I do like that a lot. Beautiful full bleed. Love the proportions. We're getting into, this is quite a lot of words, and my eyes do shift kind of side to side, not quite sure where to go, but beautiful diagram, kind of archetypal, oh boy. Archetypal forms, we have nostalgia, grief, and solace, great, I like it. Initial vignettes, the layout of this is a little confusing and probably needs to be a little more rhythmic, or maybe even have some sense of hierarchy. I feel like it's a little construed here. Other than that, information and the images look great, especially the scale that they kind of switch between this is quite nice.
Wow.
Again, beautiful site plan. It's a little confusing to see. Line weight kind of becomes a problem here, especially when you have something so dark that cuts through. Also, these words are a bit small. I do love how you have the macro, meso, and micro site location, but then again, quite small to read. Beautiful. I love how you take into consideration site context, wind rose, and sundial. Beautiful. Sun path, whatever you want to call it. Words are a little small. It's a little hard to understand what all this means, but from the most I get, there's a beacon here, something, there's a building here, which could probably use a darker outline. Maybe parking or some kind of road, hiking, got it. Just looks good. So beautiful. I wish I could see more of these in some of these portfolio reviews that I do. But I do love a good site context or site section. So you can see the context that your different buildings have or your building has to the site. Also, the images are quite well. If you do this kind of drawing in your portfolio, you have the ability to do almost anything that you can possibly do here and just infill with information that's important to your project. Absolutely love them. One of the best drawings that you can for information. So next one, hierarchically from understanding or just kind of looking. Eyes don't necessarily know where to go, This obviously seems like the most important part because you have kind of this hand, you have this really long quote, object, memory, space. I do quite like this being in the middle, but it's kind of congesting the rest of everything. Maybe you were trying to do some kind of slanted design. Either way, this going above into where this title block kind of anchors the page, I'm not a big fan of. It's a little congested. Maybe needs to be reworked a little bit so I can understand as a reader what's the most important part of this page, which I have a feeling is this, but also having this kind of understanding of, I mean, it's your spatial narrative of memory, so I'm going to assume this is quite a big deal to your project, is what it looks like to me. So maybe this getting a little more space or maybe a different page so this can really overtake and become the main character of this page. So next one, another site plan, beautiful. This one you can really see the control of line weight here a lot better, especially having something a little closer up to the building. You can start to understand. However, these words are a little small. The trees look good. Everything else graphically is really great. Maybe if they were closer to this size, that'd be better. I do quite like this. It feels a little out of place since it's a rhythm of 3. I would maybe bring this down so your eyes have somewhere to understand, kind of read like a book. Quite nice. These are absolutely beautiful diagrams. Again, these words are way too small. A little illegible, to be completely honest. And I'm on a pretty massive monitor right here. But the diagrams themselves, I mean, an image is worth 1,000 words, and a three-dimensional story is worth 1,000,000. So I
Wow.
do quite love how you kind of arrive to this final idea. And then having these little titles almost, in my opinion, would be in and of itself enough. So, beautiful full bleed. Love the symmetry of this render. Really looks good, even though it's black and gray. Whenever you have images like this, having a strong composition means almost 10 times whenever color's not a thing. So, beautiful layout. Again, this page is so harmonious. You have this floor plan that brings in and corresponds to this section so you can understand spatially where you're at. Beautiful. I would maybe this section markers a little distracting to the plan as a whole and a little hard to see. Maybe just having it mark off on the ends so it's a little easier to tell where it is, because to me it's a little distracting cutting through. However, the sectional diagram that you have here is really nice and really strong. Creates a great sense of hierarchy. It's almost a full bleed image, and having this black here really anchors it. Not quite like it. So, beautiful. The composition again of this one is really strong. I quite like this one. You see the symmetry kind of begin with the door in the middle. It seems a little off if that's what you were going for. However, it still is really nice. Again, with these light coming through a light well, really hard to beat light coming through the clouds, really hard to beat when it's proportional. And again, whenever you have something in black and white, if that's something you want to do, it's by all means a little bit of a challenge, but when done right, look how good it can look. So that is one thing to think about. Wall section, beautiful. Especially when you're applying this to a firm or to a job, showing that you have some understanding of wall sections and assemblies is very important. Now, there is a time and a place for that in a portfolio, so this isn't necessarily the most complicated kind of wall section, so this is what I would call maybe playing it a little safe. Now, the drawing itself is quite beautiful, so that is a bit of a thing. Also, again, with these renderings, absolutely beautiful. Playing with that light and that dark is quite poetic, and I think is very, very strong. I would almost want to see these blown up a little more, like how the previous slide was. I think these are a little more important than this wall section, to be honest with you. But it is quite pretty. Again, with the words, they're a little small, a little illegible. And also, I would maybe, not to nitpick, make those follow in the middle of the lines so that you don't have any of this kind of layering like you do right here. So it feels a little more intentional. Beautiful, another beautiful render with kind of this word just to kind of what I'm assuming is a closing statement. Quite like it. Archive from the Enduring Road. Quite like it. Quite poetic. Beautiful. Next project we have again graduate school spring from UL. Another beautiful full bleed render to kind of introduce us to the project. Quite like it. Again, obviously your eyes kind of go here first to this site. You have again the meso, the macro, meso, and the micro to really understand where this project is. I quite do like it. It's a bit, it's a little aggressive of information. Also, I would maybe align these a bit. There's a few different fonts here. Quite a few different fonts. But the information seems great. Seems fairly important. You kind of give the understanding of why your building's important and why the process of it's important, which is always almost number one to do for your building, especially in the earlier stages of your portfolio showing. Beautiful axon. If y'all need a tutorial on how to do this in Revit, by all means go in the comment section and let me know. I can by all means do an axon tutorial on how to do that without ever having to get an illustrator, which it seems like he might have right here. But if y'all would need, I could show you how to do all of that in Revit pretty quick, pretty easy. So looking at the master plan, wetland, kind of showing his context of site. I like it. Again, these words are a little small. It takes away a little bit, but works well with the page. Maybe infilling this and letting this axon really breathe. It is quite pretty and quite nice. Really shows the understanding of structure and how buildings get assembled. So floor plans look good. Red numbers, I'm not the biggest fan of. Also, I don't know if it's as important to have your entirety of a page taken up by floor plans. It seems a little unnecessary, unless it's done like how the previous project was, having that floor plan into a section. The first thing my eyes go to kind of here, planting plants. So this whole kind of page is looking for plants. You have these renders that don't seem to have any immediate context or relation to the rest of this page. So hierarchically, I'm a little confused about what's going on. Maybe a title here would help a bit. But to me, it seems like this is the main guy, the main idea. But I'm a little more interested in kind of some of these renderings. This takes up a lot of real estate on this page, and might want to think about is this something worth showing, and if it is, not letting this and this kind of fight for first place of your eyes here. So again, beautiful section, as we can kind of see, is becoming a reoccurring thing in this portfolio. Again, beautiful diagram, beautiful structure of information, but not necessarily, it's a little crowded, but the composition's so strong, everything's so aligned, everything feels so purposeful. I almost hesitate to say it is crowded, but I think with just the amount of words, maybe cleaning this up a little bit. I don't know if every single little thing needs a tag, especially when it becomes so small. And if it does, maybe enlarging it to having its own page, having its own space would be a little better. Especially just maybe having this full bleed, or maybe letting this kind of not fight so much for dominance. Again, beautiful page, letting the work really speak for itself, and we can see this was kind of that cutoff of the main image on the cover. So next page, again, graduate studio project that's won Design Merit and the Gibson Design Award. Again, would love to see a little description of this award. Just what's it mean? Obviously, most people within the academia is going to understand what that is, but having a good description of what it is a great thing. And then we have this beautiful full bleed. of this next project. You have this wood, even the nailing in this render is quite nice. I love that attention to detail. Looking at this, we have kind of macro site plan, and then you have kind of, I get a little lost here. We have the macro site plan, but we're not too sure where we're situated in it. If I had to assume, we have a road here, and then this is by a road, so maybe somewhere up here. A little confused on that one, but other than that, Rockfire Wildlife maybe could use a title here, like that first project did. That was quite nice, just to kind of get my bearings of where I am and what kind of the rest of this will be. Again, a giant floor plan. A little hard to read some of these words. They're a little small, so to be honest, I would almost take them away to really let this floor plan breathe, even though I might not necessarily know where everything is. Men's wash closet or water closet, whatever he's calling it here, the bathrooms, would be kind of understood with the fixtures. Maybe same thing for offices and storerooms. Community gathering area, I would maybe keep that, but definitely eliminating some of these. Like the mechanical, I might not necessarily need to know right here and right now. But composition of it's quite nice. Beautiful renders. Immediately my eye goes to this one first, probably because of the water, the ocean. So it sticks out a little more than some of these. Beautiful sky. Sentinel from the boardwalk, community gathering area, greenhouse, breezeway. This makes me want to see more of the project though. Let me see that sentinel. Let me see the gathering area. So again, beautiful axons. This was something I was talking about, that previous project, having that exploded axon, letting it really take up this page, because now I can kind of go in and see. We have glue lamps. We have this kind of glazing everywhere, window system, and then this metal roof, green roof, the solar panels, understanding kind of how structure works. It is a little light, maybe in structure, but that again, that's nitpicking. Having this really does make it look a lot better, a little more breathable. Again, repeating thing, having this beautiful section, absolutely love it. Showing these pylons, showing this understanding of maybe passive systems for this building. There is quite a lot of words on the side, which I don't hate for how big it is. And then you have these three renders at the top. Beautiful render view in this boat. I do quite like that, instead of just having it from the water, having it seem like you're almost fishing. Quite nice. Exhibition space. You still have that sitting on the background, which is quite nice. And then exterior view from boardwalk. Really love it, really love it, really love it. Again, another beautiful section. Or, oh no. Oh, this is a section. Okay. Looks quite good. The roof might be a little thin, but I mean, that's nitpicking just the project. It's something like this, egress diagram. Maybe even without having. I'm not sure. I really do like the idea of having the egress and showing that you know what's going on, but maybe not necessarily the most important thing to show in a portfolio, especially when it already is so long. It is 42 pages, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there is this is kind of taken away from the beauty of this section. Um, and then you kind of have nursery labs office program diagram, which you might not necessarily need because you already did show that floor plan. It is a little repetitive, and then maybe letting this breathe a little bit, maybe getting rid of this, or maybe this whole page goes away. Next one, this is a beautiful render. I really do love getting to see these glue lamp beams. A beautiful composition of this kind of in the center. Really lets me see the rest of the project, and then it's a great way to end it. So for let's see, beautiful render. I quite like it. Obviously, there's the gray everywhere, but the building itself is quite nice. So entering the project, we have a nice site plan. We have some sections here, but no sections on the plan, or no sections on this page. So maybe get rid of that. Zoning map. I do like showing the zoning map, showing that you are conscious of the site. That is quite good. I do quite like. Exterior entry view, I love it. I love it. The composition of this page could be a little better, especially with these being different sizes. Maybe they could just be the same size and have some kind of a border here. It's just kind of nitpicking on the layout. Beautiful floor plans. I don't necessarily have anything here to go off of word-wise, but I understand these are stairs that kind of go up. You have kind of this gathering space, it looks like. Outlook, beautiful renders just kind of showing you where this is in time. I would almost really love if these correspond to these renders, which it almost does, having maybe a little person here, or a little dot showing where you're looking out of, I think would be wonderful. Because here and here is really understood, especially just how strong this floor plan is, almost Zaha Hadid like, knowing that I'm here somewhere within this space. So I do quite like that. Beautiful sections. I quite love how these are shown. I do wish maybe they corresponded here, or maybe these. I wish these sketches were bigger. I didn't even see these. These are quite nice, and showing progress, and especially in a work portfolio, is very important because they want to see how you work through ideas, how you arrive to your final decisions. So now that I think about it, hand sketching, especially now looking at how nice these are, more hand sketches throughout this portfolio would be something I would strongly recommend, especially when you have the skill to show off already. So again, another render, if I had to assume through predictability that this is going to be kind of the end and the start of the next project, which it is, which is quite nice. It keeps the rhythm going. It is nice. So we have just kind of additional work. So basically, undergrad studio and graduate studio 409, 202, physical modeling. Really excited. Maybe I take back having. I would probably still have that hand sketching throughout the some of the portfolios, especially on some of the projects that we saw with that section, and then the egress. Maybe putting more process work there, I think would be very strong. So back to it. Beautiful physical model. I almost wish this was. Did we see this project? Yeah, this is the glue lamps. We definitely saw this project. This is something I would have just included instead of having it separate. But then we have construction documents, which I do really appreciate having, so you can get a visual on how this works. I would almost. This is just a beautiful wall section, really understanding how everything is put together. You have your suspension tees, HVAC. There's starting to be an understanding of electrical. I do quite like it, and especially this. This excites me a lot. Having details and sections, I would almost get rid of this and really extrapolate just this part. Having these details on this page really makes especially people that are looking to hire look and see if you know how a detail works, what's your graphical standards, and how you really work through those ideas, and what, because there's 20 different ways you can frame a wall, but how do you draw it is something that they really like to look at and really like to see. So first floor, we have some stairs, elevator details, stair details, means of egress, ADA. I quite like a little bit of. I'm not sure if this is the most important. To me, I'd be a lot more excited to see how this connection pans out, especially with it. Yeah, how this connection kind of works out, I think would be very nice. Hydraulic piston. It's beautiful. Quite like it. And then again, such a strong, well thought out, well detailed building section, especially something of this caliber and of this size and of this detail, is quite impressive. Also, I do love the labeling of the different rooms. Maybe it doesn't necessarily even have to have that, but I do get it that it's construction documents. It's a building section. It works. I like it. So next, we have, again, some hand sketching, some hand drawing that is quite nice, that I do wish I would have got to see but I don't believe we got to see any of these projects. First floor, second floor. I almost do wish he has it as hand drafting, but I would almost wish he would break it out. Maybe just a little bubble or something by project. Because if I don't have a project or necessarily anything, the first floor plan, second floor plan might not matter too much to me as an employer, and it's a little um, slow to kind of figure out what this means in proportion in relation to this, especially when I don't have details or any renderings or other context for the project. Which I'm assuming this is all kind of one project from what I'm seeing here, but it is quite nice. The layout I would make a little different. I mean, I would assume that this wall section or these sections come from this plan, so I would like to see just the walls lined up. Same with this longitudinal section. Just have it lined up with the building would be quite nice. So, beautiful models. Again, it appears to be that same project. This, again, is a project that he did have. I would love to see that in where the project section is. This is just such a wonderful model, such a wonderful image in and of itself. I would love to see that within further the model or the portfolio. Again, beautiful models, quite like it. There starts to be it's very monotone, but there starts to be a discrepancy between material, where those columns kind of happen, and how these forms really start to take place. Really, really nice images, really, really nice model, and a good thank you page. And then it's always good to leave a back, especially if you do think of it like a book, as one would say. There is always going to be that back, and it always is a good idea to leave that just an ending email, phone number, name, just to make sure they kind of remember it, and leave them off on a good note. Again, beautiful render, always a good way to end it, and just all really great stuff, really wonderful things. Now that I know some of that work that he had, I would really go back and figure like this image and page in particular, the egress, the program, and the building section might not need to be there, especially when you already showed me something of this level, of this quality. I wouldn't necessarily show this when you have already something so nice here, and would make room for that model here for sure, and that process work. So other than that, that was Ethan Bosch's portfolio. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe.